When I talk about the Messianic secret, I'm referring to how in Mark, Christ consistently tells his followers not to tell people who he is or about the miracles he's done. For example, in Mark chapter 5, it's already been publicly announced that Jairus' daughter has died. But Jesus raises her from the dead and then strictly ordered them that no one should know this. Doesn't it seem strange that Jesus didn't want people to know she was alive? After all, they would find out when she's seen around town in the following days. But Jesus wanted to keep things quiet. Over and over again, he asked people not to tell others who he is or what he has done. We might ask ourselves, why is that? We don't know for sure. Maybe it's reverse psychology. If you tell someone to do something, they'll do the opposite. And often when Jesus would tell people, don't tell anyone about this miracle, the people would go and tell everyone. Maybe that's what Christ wanted. Or maybe he really did want to keep things quiet. Perhaps the Savior was trying to avoid crowds. He had things to do, a mission to accomplish. And if the word got out about his healing, he wouldn't be able to get to the places he needed to be. For me, the most interesting part of the Messianic secret is a reversal that takes place at the end of Mark's account. Let's read Mark chapter 16, verses 1 through 8. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. They had been saying one to another, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" When they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled back. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Look, there is the place they laid him. But go and tell his disciples and Peter that he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. Did you know that in the earliest available manuscripts of Mark, that's where Mark ends? Imagine this is the ending of Mark. Neither said they anything to any man, for they were afraid. The end. How does that change your experience as the reader or listener? The earliest available texts of Mark don't include verses 9 through 20. The discussion around these verses is complicated. It's possible that they came from Mark or somebody who finished his account. But for our purposes, let's imagine that Mark originally ended in verse 8. Why would Mark end the good news on such an abrupt note? One intriguing possibility ties back to the Messianic secret. Earlier, Jesus would do a miracle and say, "Don't tell anyone." And the people would go and tell. Now at the end, the young man says, "Go tell the disciples," and the women say nothing. You and I, as the reader, are left in the empty tomb. It's as though Mark says to us, "I told you from the very beginning that Jesus was the Son of God. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay in the tomb and be afraid? Or are you going to go out and spread the good news?"
To see more videos like this one, simply search Seeking Jesus.